got it.
We are now recording for posterity, so pray I don't say something dumb. So tonight we're really privileged. Perhaps you saw our promotion of tonight's call somewhere in cyberspace. It's really good to have you. If this is not a part of your regular weekly schedule, we are really honored to have you tonight. We're exceptionally blessed to have a special guest on tonight who's become a very good friend of ours. We did not know this gentleman before LifeVantage, but he was already a master, an expert at building this profession to the tune of creating over $1 billion worth of revenue in several different companies. And so to have landed in this team under the leadership of this particular gentleman, I don't know that we would be, I'm fairly sure we would not be where we are without the influence and the mentorship and the coaching of dear friend Marcel Niederhauser. And so I just want to encourage you, if you're in a place that you can stop and take notes tonight, do that. Grab a piece of paper and a pen. You may have heard Marcel several times, but I guarantee you, if you're listening tonight, you're going to hear something new in a new way. We're super privileged to have my friend and mentor and my brother, Marcel Niederhauser. Brother, if you are on, I'd like to welcome you to our call.
Hey,
Dude,
Marcel.
you speak such kind words, and you look really, really good sitting there next to your beautiful wife.
I know.
And you guys, hi. I didn't hear anybody from, well, I did hear from somebody on here from California, so we do got some West Coasters.
Yeah.
But a lot of people from the East. And then I can't understand anything Mark and Krista say with that accent. No, actually, I love that accent. Every time I talk to her, I say, "Can you just keep talking?" I'm trying to learn that so I could speak Southern.
Oh, I can teach you.
That's pretty good, Marcel. That's pretty good.
Just add an extra syllable to every word. That's all there is to it.
I'm working on that. I am working on that. Well, we are at the end of the month. And I guess my question is everybody on this call right now happy with where you're at? Like me and Mark didn't really talk about what to talk about. He just said, talk about what's ever on your heart. So a lot of you, I don't know very well, but I can't wait to get to know you. But I seen a couple people shake their heads. Put a 1 down in the chat if you're just perfectly content where you're at in LifeVantage. You're happy with your rank and your check and all that other good stuff. Ooh, nothing's happening. So I will take that as we're not. Okay, here's what I want to do tonight. I just want to simplify things, okay? And what does that mean? We have elite academies, we have success mastery calls. It looks like we're going to get back on top of the LVAs coming up soon. COVID kind of nipped out a little bit, and we have a lot of Zoom calls, and there's a lot of information coming down. And for some of us that this is our first time and we've never been in network marketing, we hear all this noise, but we don't know what to listen to. Does anybody ever feel confused or messages change or directions change? Okay, well, here's something I've done from the very second I got into this business, and nothing's changed. So in my viewpoint, the company story at LifeVantage will never change. Okay, and what is that? Well, for me, when I was introduced to this business, the only product we had at that time was Protandem. And Protandem is very unique because nobody else has it. And they had a third-party validation, which when I watched it, I couldn't believe on that 9-minute video, it said it's going to cure this, and this, and this. That's what I heard. Now, I know they didn't say that, but that's what I heard. Because anytime you say you can't say something on TV and you say it anyway, that means they said it, right? Anyway, that's how my brain worked. And I thought, this is incredible. I've never been in a company that product has a third-party validation from a source that has nothing to do with the industry. So I'm telling you this because this was huge for me. See, nothing's changed. And I feel I feel that I can talk about this as if it was 11 years ago, because there's 8 billion people in the world. And right now we've got less than 100,000 distributors in this company. So I know our message is still a secret. So I watched that video 3 times and I thought, I will never sell the little yellow pill, but I'll take it. Did anybody you have that feeling that at least you're going to take it? I didn't know a lot about oxidative stress because my background was engineering, which I never used my degree, and I did landscape maintenance for 18 years. So I had no background in any of that, but it made sense. Oxidative stress is not a good thing in the body. And the older we get, the more it increases. And then they associated it with all of those other things, and that's where PubMed came in. So if that's the case, when I'm talking to people about this business and I talk about the product, now let me just tell you, there's 3 things that, well, there's 6 things that I talk about: company, timing, trends, system, product, and compensation. I don't care what order we talk about those, but what I found to be helpful is if you talk about the company and give them an idea what's going on, and then you talk about what's going on around us in the world, the trends. And this might not necessarily be a trend, but back when we started, the housing market just crashed. Everybody's lives were turned upside down. Now here we are 11 years later, COVID came into town, turned everybody's lives up down, actually shut the whole world down. And so now we're coming out of that. A lot of people were affected. A lot of mom and pa's and restaurants and all kinds of industry that relied on public to come in are gone. They're not gone, but a lot of them struggled. A lot of them are gone. So right now, the world is looking for an opportunity. Now we learned too that the 401k and the job security and the retirement plan, we learned that didn't work out so well too. That was about in 2008. You guys remember that? Or does anybody remember that? Okay, well, those plans haven't changed. They're still, it's really hard that when 95% of Americans get to the age of retirement, they can't retire because of these forces that are continuing. And so now we just went through a really upside down economy. Things turned upside down, health, death, all these crazy things have impacted people. But with all that going on, do we get to quit paying our bills? Do we quit paying our transportation? Do we get to stop going to work? Now, some people did, and there was some stimulus checks, but I don't think we're going to be able to live very long on a stimulus check. Do you guys? Okay, so why is that important? Because these are the people we're going to go out and talk to again. That list, I don't care how long you've been in, your list is brand new now because of all of the stuff that's happened. So, but what you have to do when you talk to them, you have to get their attention. And I like attention grabbers. And the biggest thing in this business is nobody has a product like ours that has the peer-reviewed study behind it and the third-party validation. That's an easy conversation. The industry has been phenomenal to me. And if you guys noticed, even like I know our company's been going like this, but even during that time, all this time, I got a check on the 15th of the month, just like clockwork, like a lot of you guys did that have business built. Just like clockwork, it didn't upset our business. Now, the ability not to go face to face, that kind of hurt a little bit, slowed us down, but that's going to change. Zoom came in and really made a powerful impact, but everybody's finding out today that it's really hard to develop trust and relationships over a computer. It's not, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just not, it was a good substitute. We're going to get together. Matter of fact, we're getting together in St. George. All of you guys are invited. You know that. And I'll let Mark and Krista talk about that here in a minute. So the story hasn't ever changed. I don't care if the economy is bad. I don't care if it's COVID. I don't care if everything's great. The thing that I found in this industry that will allow your chances of success is to find something that works or something somebody has done that works. There's a difference in experimenting. And here's how you know, because there's a lot of good leaders in this company. but you'll be able to decipher between the ones that know what they're doing and the ones that are experimenting, that haven't figured it out yet. They're going through their learning curve. Is the ones that don't always have a new thing to teach you. We call it change of the month. And it's not a bad thing. They just haven't had the experience. I'm just lucky I've been in the industry for 30 years. I have become a very good asset to people that like to listen. I'm not a very good asset to people that like to learn things the hard way, by doing their own thing. But I learned a long time ago, if you can find somebody that has what you want, and if financially, if that's the case, our lifestyle is pretty good. I haven't had a job for 18 years. No. Yeah, 16 years. But if income is it, that's one thing that we've figured out how to do. And this is the secret. I find something that works. I find something that that I can attract other people. Yeah, other people with the same personality that you have. Have you noticed that we all look different? We all sound different, kind of. We all perceive things different. But if you really start to study all the people that you've been involved with over this time, you'll find out, I don't know the exact number, 5 or 6 different personalities that everybody kind of matches one of those. And so if that's the case, I found a way to go through the numbers and find people that want to do what I'm doing right now. I didn't say convince people. Find people that want to make a difference in their financial life. If you can find unfortunately, whatever, it's not unfortunate, but unfortunately, people are motivated by money. You know how I know? They get up every morning and go to work. And then they complain about going to work. They complain about all the money they don't have to pay for this or pay for that. But they're motivated to go. Why? Because they got bills. They got kids. They got this. They got that. They got house to pay for. You guys agree? I know this isn't new, but sometimes as we get further into our success in this business, or years go by, we have a tendency to move away from the basics. We get into the new ideas. I mean, the internet has been fascinating, and it's been a great detour. It has caused more delay and more distractions, and it's really helped people to just burn through their names lists overnight. Like, it's a good commodity. If it's used right, it's a great resource to find people. But I don't think everybody uses it right, if that makes sense. Now, I think it's an awesome tool. I never used any of these social media platforms to build my business, because I built my business back when I learned how to build, but back when we had pagers, and then the cell phone first came out, it was a brick phone. We didn't have the type of technology. So the technology will enhance the speed of information. That is unfreaking believable. Before, we would send Morse code to our downline, and a week later they would get it, and then they would go, then they'd report back, and we'd get it a week after that. Now we have all of this technology where it zooms, but it's not a replacement for you and I to do what we're doing right now. And I'm telling you right now, if that were the case, we would be sitting in a conference room somewhere. You guys would all be sitting out there, and I'd be saying the exact same things I'm saying to you right now. Back to the basics. Know what the story is. We have tremendous products. I love them all. But unfortunately, all the products we do have, somebody else has. The only product that nobody else has is what? Protandem. And so I'm going to use that to my odds. Now, does everybody want to sit down and listen to the story? No. Have you heard this saying, 15 or more a month? I have found myself, I was able to be very successful in this industry by doing more than 15. But when I first started out in the very beginning, it was hard to do 15 because you got to learn the industry. But I was in a meeting the other day with some people. I don't know if you ever heard of a guy named Cole Elam. Some of you might have. Trent Ligstrom and Clinton Boyles. and we're having a similar conversation. We were at the corporate, they were come down to see it. It was all awesome. And I was talking about doing 15 or more presentations a month. And all three of them cut me short just like that and said, what are you talking about? We do way more than 15. And I said, I know you do. But what does 95% of the people do? Do they do 15? No, they don't. And when you come into their house and you say you're doing more than 15, they might do 1 or 2 until they build confidence. You freak them out. So we say 15 or more. And then when I find somebody that will do more, I grab a hold of them and we do 100. Does that make sense? I use the same terminology because I am going into people's homes for 2 reasons: to introduce them to the business and the product, or to have them lead me to somebody, or they're going to build the business. Yes, I want to help them in their health and I want to do all those things. But I found if I keep my focus on looking for somebody to build it, that's what I'm looking for. Somebody that wants to do what I'm doing right now. And as I gather all the others that come in half-heartedly or whatever, they just want to use the product, I've learned how to get to their names list. So it makes it easier for me to do the 15 or more a month. Does that make sense? When I say 15 or more, that doesn't mean you're going to personally sponsor or contact 15 people every month for the rest of your life until you get it done. You're going to do 15 or more presentations every month with the people you know until you start recruiting people in, and then you transfer a lot of those meetings to them, helping them. I have a saying: whoever needs the volume does the meeting and the follow-up. So what does that mean? In order to rank advance to the next rank, you have to have volume. And so if you have a plan to go Pro 4, Pro 5, Pro 6, Pro 7, Pro 8, Pro 9, Pro 10, you need volume. And when you're building depth, when you're sponsoring people and then helping them sponsor, I don't care how many levels away from you are, when you're working this guy 13 levels deep or 30 levels deep, you're doing the meeting and the follow-up with him, teaching everybody else in that line how to build the business that they can go do in another line. Does that make sense? Not everybody's going to build right out of the gate. That's why we go through the numbers to find the ones that will. And then we build these tap roots, and involved in the tap roots are people that are just using the product. They just go to the functions for association. You know, we find something that we've created that keeps them attracted to what we're doing, why they're developing. Some of them will change their mind later and actually want to start building the business. So my whole reason for saying that is instead of you waiting for them to have that desire, I teach you the skills to get it done without them, and find the ones that want to go right now and create the volume. So when the other ones are ready, you could go back and plug them into your system. So with all of the change and the confusion that has gone on, and I call it change and confusion, it's just because people don't understand. And corporate is a very powerful asset to ship products and ship our checks. As far as teaching us how to build the business, it's kind of hard for them to do that if they've never done it. Does that make sense? So we've had lots of conversations, and what I'm excited about. So anyway, long story short, I've never changed my story. You know why? Because Mark said it. Talking to people about Pro Tandem, our third-party validation, telling them my story, the company story, telling them how to get paid, talking about 95% of Americans can't retire when they reach 65. We've been able to do $1 billion in sales in LifeVantage. We built 2 Pro 10 positions using that philosophy. Now, that's the instigator that gathers. You also have to grow and develop to be able to lead. That happened too because we were doing so much. The more work you do, the more you're engaged, the more of an understanding that this industry becomes. And there will be a day when you realize to yourself that this was the easiest thing you've ever done in your life. But it will be the hardest thing you've ever done to get to the point where you start to believe it's the easiest thing you've ever done. Isn't that crazy? Like, this is a no-brainer for me now. And it's not because I got this big check coming in, you guys. That knowledge and that experience and that transfer of knowledge and leadership develops before those checks come. It all comes together. So what I did was I was very active in doing meetings. Now, when I started, very first one, didn't know anything about the industry. It took me 8 months to sponsor my first person. 12 years to make Pro 7 income, which Mark and Krista did like in 11 seconds. How fast did you guys go Pro 7?
2 years.
2 years.
Yep.
So I went 12 years. They went 2 years. Now, understand, I've never had me to teach me. I've had to learn everything the hard way. That's why I know that all this experiment, that's why I understand when a leader, when their business starts to flatline, they panic and think something's wrong. So the natural cause is let's change everything. And that just causes more confusion. And then you got this ship moving one direction, it's on freaking fire. And all of a sudden, no matter who you are, no matter the company, no matter the leg, no matter the leader, your businesses will always project upward on fire. They'll hit a peak. They'll come back down and settle in. When they flatline, that is where your leadership, that is the voice of your leaders. So if you have 2 leaders, it's 2 leaders, it's going to be there. If you have 10 leaders, it's going to be up a little higher. If you have 1,000 leaders, then it's going to be way up here. It'll always pull until we bring in more leaders or that next level of leadership develops. Now, what are we trying to do? I already said it. They got to do the work. I call it their growth curve or their learning curve. And this is what I found. If I do it first, I only need 5 or 6 other people to do what I do. And we were able to build a massive empire. Does that make sense? I didn't need tens of thousands of people. I just needed to find other people that would do what I would do. And then through them, we found other people. Like when we were growing at 20,000 people a month, I bet we had less than 100 leaders out working the business. Isn't that crazy? Just a small number of people move mountains if we don't confuse them. Now, who's the ones that are most likely to get confused? The leaders that are already having success or the brand new people coming in at the bottom? That's why we've got to stick. That's like, these guys are going to talk to you a little bit about building depth. Maybe they already have. But 4.5 years ago, I got tired of the confusion. I got tired of change of the month club. And I decided to surround myself with people that thought like I did. Everybody was invited, and we created a platform. It's just LifeVantage. It's nothing different, but it's just a consistent message. So when people go to Elite Academy and get the smorgasbord of information, like when you guys go to Smorgasbord, where there's food everywhere, do you eat it all? We try, but we don't. Well, Elite Academy is going to always be that way. So we need to train and teach people what's working. Okay. Now, I never teach technique. You know why? Because the way you're going to gather people is going to be completely different than the way I gather people. And I want to make sure that you have a very strong chance or percentage that this will work for you. So I don't teach technique. What do I teach? Principles and behaviors. Those are success principles and behaviors that have lasted throughout history of mankind. And when they're applied, they work. And the only reason why everybody in this world doesn't succeed in network marketing is because they never allow the time for the personal growth to adapt in and allow those principles to work. Some of us will sponsor hundreds of people before we do it. Some of us will sponsor 5. I've had to sponsor a lot. 12 years is a long time to make 10 grand a month. Now, I made over $100,000 a year one time in Amway, right? Like I made a little bit of money, and that sounds like a lot, but back then I was in the learning process. So I probably spent 120 to make the 100, traveling, going to all the functions and doing all that. So we tried to narrow it down too, so that people could spend their money in the right place and get the best bang for their buck. Does that make sense? And so do you guys agree with me that coming to a place where you've got 30, 40 elite distributors that all think the same way, they all have different personalities, but their message is consistent so that the masses, the new people, don't get confused? Doesn't that sound like an environment you'd want to be part of? And then we'd recognize recognition. We've been getting growth. Before COVID hit, we're breaking at least 2 or 3 elites every function. And listen, I'm not blaming anything on COVID. It's just really hard to build your business when you can't be in person. There's a lack of trust in that. And it's hard to get people like, I don't know, how well are you guys doing getting brand new people to sit on Zooms? Is it better? See, I can't get people to do anything until I get them interested in what I'm doing. Once I get them interested, I can get them to do stuff. Now, for me, it was getting them to go to meetings. And I found out, now listen, this is very scientific. This is what I'm going to tell you, if I don't forget, setting it up is worth a lot of money to you. This is what I found out. When people tell me they're coming to a meeting, there's usually a 50% chance they're not going to come. Most of the time it's 100. But when I tell them I'm coming to their house for a meeting and I want to build this business, I know 100% chance I am going to show up. So I learned early on, after years of trial and error, I just need to go to their house. Once I get them in, then I just get them plugged into the system. I get them to go to the monthly trainings. I get them to go to the lead academies. And you got to be careful of what you're exposing your people to too. If there's a lot of change of the month going on, a lot of like, I don't care what message you lead with. Does that make sense? I don't care if it's product. I don't care if it's compensation. I don't care if it's trend. I don't care if it's about the industry, the company. I don't care what you lead with. But what I do care about for your sake is before you leave, you talk about all of them. You tell the whole story. And for some reason, a lot of people think that you just need to tell the product story. And if that would have happened to me in the beginning, I would have missed the opportunity, because I didn't get in this company because of ProTandem. ProTandem was unique. I was already going to take it, but I got in it because I wanted freedom. I wanted financial freedom. I don't even know if I can say that word, but I said it. But that's what I wanted. I wanted to control my time. They told me there's an opportunity to get a leveraged residual check. Leverage means residual. A leveraged check, come in every month. And guess what? For the last 11 years, on the 15th, that's happened. That's what I wanted. It was willing. I was so willing to put everything on hold, because when I'd exercised the behaviors, the 15 a month, plug them into the system, I started sponsoring people. Plugging them into the system, I started getting them excited about what I was doing. See, on my own, I can't get anybody to do anything. I need the help of all of you, or of corporate, or the platforms of a bigger piece of the puzzle other than myself. Does that make sense? That's why Elite Academies, I don't care what the smorgasbord is. I don't care of all the noise and confusion that goes on at Elite Academy. That's not really what it's for. When you give somebody 20 minutes to teach somebody how to build a business, it doesn't work anyway. Lead Academy should be for telling stories and little bits of information. Life Edge Academies and should be for teaching people how to build the business. Building Depth is designed to teach you how to build depth, how to stay and control your business. That's one of the things we teach, staying and control your business. That's never taught, because a lot of people don't understand that. Their theory is sponsor as many people you can, throw mud on the wall, and then just go sponsor a bunch more people and throw mud on the wall. And then whatever sticks, run with it. And there's nothing wrong with that theory too, but you might be years before you get enough to stick. And so I'd rather develop. I'd rather be, let's put a bunch of stuff on the wall and then run with the people that are ready to run. And that's what we teach at Building Depth. So it has a whole different scientific, and that's what Tyler and I did when we build our business. We'd grab the people, we'd do the meetings, we needed the volume. So we'd drive our legs 100 deep and we'd be doing a meeting at the bottom of that leg, driving that volume, just the volume in that kind of scenario every single time. The volume will fill in from the bottom like an upside down Christmas tree. By the time it gets to the top, it's worth millions of dollars every month. Does that make sense? And here was my theory. Think about this. If you have a line of sponsorship, let's say you got 3 legs going straight down, and there's a whole bunch of people in there, but let's just say they're all just one-legged. Okay. If we know how the compensation plan works, in that scenario, 3 legs, 10 deep in each leg, who's not getting a check? They're all on auto ship. Mark, I'm gonna test your knowledge.
An answer. Ask it again, Marcel.
If I've got
And
three
down.
legs, I'm brand new, I've got three legs. They're all straight down, just one-legged, all the way down to the bottom, one-legged. In our comp plan, they're all on an auto ship. Who's not getting a check in that scenario?
Are they distributors or customers?
Distributors. I don't even know what a customer is.
Oh,
Oh, I do. A
they-
customer is somebody said, no, I don't want to be a distributor.
right.
Right.
But these are all, yeah, they're all
Everybody's
distributors.
getting a
Right.
check.
Everybody's getting checked.
Everyone's getting a check. There's 9 levels deep that they pay out, and then dynamically. So it depends on who's above them. If that person's
Okay, think again. Who's not getting a check? The guy on
At the
the
On top.
bottom.
why?
Because he doesn't got anybody underneath him.
Oh, thank you, Bill.
Oh,
You mean the new? Yeah.
the
Okay.
new person.
Sorry.
No, if I would have drew it out, you would understood. So think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure, Marcel, but thank you for
Yeah,
that.
I mean that makes
for the
sense.
compliment.
So we teach
don't have
everybody to
anybody.
build 5 legs, right? 5
Yes.
legs that want to work.
Yeah.
And then we want to drive depth. And so at all times in my business, if I can help 5 people at the bottom of the leg get a check, I can keep driving that down. That's all my responsibility. But in the meantime, I'm teaching everybody else I'm working with how to do the same thing. And what do they do in their outside legs?
Go down to the bottom.
Yep, that's why it fills up like an upside down Christmas tree, because the width fills in, and the deeper you drive it, the more fills in. Because if you have a leg that's 10 deep and they're doing $200 an auto ship, how much volume is that? What's
10
200 times 10?
times 2.
2000.
2,000. So what rank are you at?
2000 is pro,
Pro
almost pro
one.
2.
You're almost pro
almost
2.
pro 2.
Right. And so what do you got to do to use that volume to rank advance?
You gotta have 500 outside in your small.
You got to
leg,
build
you gotta
outside
build in
volume.
the outside leg.
Okay. But if I have 5 legs that are 10 deep, what am I?
They're 10 deep. You
Well,
mean-
there's 2,000 in each leg. I got 5 of them. 5 times 2 is what?
You're pro 4.
I'm a pro 4. Am I getting a check at that time?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
What's the average pro 4 make?
A good check.
About $2,500.
Okay, so now
No, they make,
No,
they
sorry.
make that much?
nobody else is getting a check because they haven't started working on their outside, but I'm getting a check because I'm teaching them how to build their business.
Yes.
Yep. 1,200.
So what happens if I drive it 20 levels deep? And they're these. I'm just putting these scenarios so it makes you think. If it's 20 levels deep, there's no way people in there aren't working. But see,
Right.
I'm teaching them all how to do that. And I'm working with all of them all the way down. And they're all involved, but it's my priority on the bottom. I've never sponsored a person and went and done meetings with them that have never done the business before and then said, oh, you're going to follow up with them. They're scared to death. They don't know what to say. Why would I take my business and take the control and give it to somebody else? Because usually when you do that and you call back in a week, how'd the follow-up go? What do they say? Oh, they didn't follow up. But what if I have this skill and I can do a presentation and I can do a follow-up? Why don't I share that with everybody that's willing to put me in front of people? Now, those scenarios I'm telling you, it doesn't work quite. It's not that simple. The better you get, the faster you can drive it down. But sometimes you're helping everybody sponsor at least 5 people. And then you're picking one based on personality, what they really want to do. One thing I learned, I don't hear what you say, I watch what you do,
Right.
right? Like when you guys can understand that philosophy, you will never worry about building this business ever again. You won't worry about it not working because you can stay in control. So that's how I've had the success I've had, is by knowing that little step. I've never taught that before. I just did it. And 4.5 years ago, I thought, I'm going to start teaching it. Why do I've been so blessed. Why in the world would I not teach? I do it. I don't even tell people I'm doing it to them. I just do it. And then all of a sudden, Clinton Boyles turns out to be a pro 9. Now, did he have to do his other stuff? Yeah, he did. But guess what he learned? Guess how he learned how to get good?
Kept
By doing a
it.
lot of meetings.
Yep.
He had to learn that exaggeration doesn't work very well after months and months. So that's what's so awesome about what I'm teaching you. It doesn't take, sometimes that philosophy doesn't work for very intelligent people because it's too simple. It's not complicated enough. So they will do everything they possibly can to complicate it.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And Clint is a great example. And the thing is Clint originated out of Kansas City.
Yeah.
So you guys have all, not all of you, but a lot of you've had experiences and seen. And the question is, listen, I know why Clint's a stud. But there was a lot of people in the beginning that didn't think Clint was ever going to amount to anything. But yet he had more energy than a lot of people I know. And I kept telling him, if I can just get you to focus it in one direction, you're going to be huge. And it took a while because Clint goes in 900 directions, right? But I'm using that example because sometimes do you ever sit and wonder, how the heck did he do that? Because we didn't do it for him. We did it with him. So I wasn't even prepared to tell you that story. It just came up because I just remember that Clint came from Kansas City.
Now,
Yeah.
while we're on this, Marcel, I want to drill down on that just a little bit because I was not in the room when you were there, but I know some of the guys that were, and I've heard the story that you looked at these, young 20-something-year-old kids who didn't know a lot about life, frankly, and you wouldn't have given a lot for the potential, some of them. And you looked at them and you said, I'll take one or two of you guys and I'll make tens of thousands with you. And I'm sure the level of doubt as they looked at one another in that kitchen or dining room was pretty high. Can you just talk about the fact how that works? Like, it's not magic. You had a confidence, a level of certainty that if
Hey, but why did I?
Right, that's my question.
Because I've experienced it.
Right.
See, everything I'm teaching you, the principal behaviors gives you experience, which will develop your confidence. That's why I'm saying this is a no-brainer. It might not be, might not have ever been explained like this, but as you start to apply it and you hear it more and more, and you plug into messages that are similar, then all of a sudden it starts to click and you're going down the road and you're going, I get it now. And you'll hear a lot of them. Summer will say all the time, I'm so sick of him. He's always right when it comes to this business. But I'm going to answer your question again, Mark, in another way. You watched it happen. You watched what Seth Campbell did and what Skip did and what you guys did and what your groups did. You watched all the meetings take place. That action is what made it happen. I just happened to be there in Clint's life to steer him in the right direction. I had several conversations, I'm not going to mention names, complaining about Clint. And all I said was, let him make a mess. I'll fix it. That kid is willing to do what most people won't do. I can fix his mess, but I can't make people do what he's willing to do.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, but you witnessed out of that room, because that room, you weren't in yet, but you came from that meeting. You came from the meeting Skip did at the compensation plan prior to me getting there. So all these little things that were done prior, the business finally got to you and Krista. But how did it? Somebody probably sent you an ABC primetime video to watch or contacted you and showed it to you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how we created this whole dynasty. If all of us on this Zoom right now made a commitment to start doing 15 or more a month, and I don't care if you land on 7 at the end of the month, there's nothing shameful about that. You just keep working until you can get 15, and then you'll get more. 15 is just a target to shoot until you can get more. How do you get more? Because when you're doing your 15, you're going to start sponsoring people. People are going to start coming in as a customer. And when somebody says, no, I want to be a customer, I just want to buy the product, please don't try to turn them into a distributor.
Yeah.
Wait for them to come to you and say that. So anyway, that's a little food for thought.
Marcel, can you talk to us about Well, let me preface it with this, and then I'll try to form a question. I think it's really easy to get discouraged when you introduce the the product and or the business to someone, and they shut you down, or they come to a meeting and or they don't come to a meeting or they don't show up. But as a distributor, and I mean, I know this now, but at the beginning, it was really hard for me to understand that I wasn't necessarily just talking to them because of their health or their finances. I was literally opening up another door into hundreds of people that they knew. So I was really trying to get behind, sort of beyond the person that was rejecting me. And so I think now, of course, you when you look at your team and what has happened in development, you go, oh my word. You know, we met Julie, and then Julie enrolled someone who enrolled David Meisener, who lived in our city, and Julie lived in Pennsylvania. And then we got to know Debbie Packard, and the relationships go so deep. And then Carol came in. There's just so many that are, you know, that go down in our lines. And then Mary Coop's line. I mean, these are some of our closest friends now. But I'm realizing that sometimes it's so easy to get discouraged when you're talking to one person because you're thinking so small that, you know, this person's rejected me, and actually they may not even reject you the next time you ask, because you're trying to get to the broader span of people that they know. So talk to us about that.
Okay, there's two things, and hopefully I do a good job, and don't forget. So the first thing is the solution to that is you just don't work on one. You always have people in the hopper, because not only will you get people that shut you down, but you'll get people that will lead you on. They'll lead you around chasing them in a loop.
Yes.
And the way you get over that is when you want this so bad, like has anybody ever took you and put your head underwater and just held it there until you almost passed out?
No.
Being mean or whatever. Has anybody had that happen? Well, imagine not being able to breathe and you're ready to pass out. How bad would you want to breathe?
Yeah, badly.
Okay, when you want this business that bad, then those things won't be obstacles. Now, is everybody that's going to come in want the business that bad? No, they're not. And a lot of us are going to go, okay, I've got 3 people that I know will do this. And you go to those 3 people and they shut you down. And then that turns you upside down. You don't think it's going to work. So here's how I've always looked at it. It cost me $1,000 to do this business. And we can talk for an hour over that too. There's not even a question in my mind what you need to come in with and what you need to teach people to duplicate. And we'll have that conversation. Okay. But anyway, I come in for $1,000 and I've got between now until I die to find 5 people that want to build this. And there's 8 billion people in the world. And a lot of them live in Kansas City. They're all over. They're everywhere. So what's going to make you what's going to get you to get uncomfortable enough to contact these people? You have to want something. You have to want something in return, or you will never get uncomfortable. It's kind of like that story. I don't know if you guys heard it, but I'm going to paraphrase it really. Some salesman was going around town. He's knocking on doors. He comes up to this old farmer's house, and he's sitting there talking to him. They're having a great conversation. They're in the South. I was told this story with a Southern accent, so maybe Krista can do it later if she can remember it. He's sitting there talking, and all of a sudden there's this big old hound dog just laying on the floor, and it just lets out this big old beller. And the guy looks at it and doesn't say anything, and then a little later on does it again. Does it like 3 or 4 times, and the guy goes, "What in the world is wrong with your dog?" Because it was like blood curdling, but he says, "Well, he's laying on an L." And the guy goes, "Well, why doesn't he get up?" He says, "It doesn't hurt bad enough to just get up, just enough to bail her." Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And that's how a lot of people are. Do you think there's a reason why 95% of Americans can't retire?
Yeah.
They go home to work, home to work, home to work, home to work, home to work. Nobody teaches them how to run their business. There's a lot of obstacles that we got to get over. We got to teach people $1,000 investment is not that much, especially when people are running around with $1,000 iPhone, that it does help me build my business, but this is never, because I bought this, I didn't get a residual check. And I built a very big business without it in the very beginning. Does that make sense?
Right.
So, but it does take a part. But $1,000 investment and duplicate it. So here's what I want you to understand with that. Okay. Some of you, like, I'm just going to ask you a question. In our comp plan today, if I want to go Pro 4 and I'm doing the platinum pack, how many people do I need to enroll? 10. What's 10 times 1,000? Okay. So now, if I want to go Pro 4 and I'm using the bottom pack, how many people do I need to sponsor?
Oh,
4 times that number.
yeah.
40.
Yeah.
I'm gonna teach them to work 4 times harder. I'm gonna take a brand new person that has no money, they're broke. See, this is the scenario. Oh, they don't have any money, so I'm gonna get them in the play. If somebody has this much money to sign up, they'll have this much money too, especially if they're packing around one of these guys. Okay, are you with me? So I'm gonna take a guy that doesn't have any money. Now let me ask you a question. Would that guy rather make 4 grand or 40? Or 400 or 40? What would somebody that doesn't have any money, what would they rather make? 400 or 40?
400.
It's a no-brainer. They like, it's the same work too. They got to go talk to the person. They got to sign them up. For some reason, our brains are wired, less money, easier. There's no such thing as easy. Teach them how to be a business. I owned the landscaping company. I had hundreds of $1,000s invested. So when they asked me to invest $1,000 into this business, that wasn't nothing. That's not even enough money to take it serious. But yet there are people living paycheck to paycheck that's enough money for them to take it serious. And I found the more skin in the game, the more things happen. Now, with that being said, do you know how many times I've told that conversation? Every single time I do a meeting and I sit down and then I let them decide after I explain it. Like, listen, if somebody can't figure out from my reasoning, is it better to make 400 or 40? I sign them up where they want to come. But here's the hard part. Then when you go to sponsor somebody, your friends are going to say, what'd you sign up? Well, I came in at $40, but you should come in at 1,000. That makes no sense to me. They will do what you did. So, but remember, when I have somebody give me $1,000, they don't give it to me, they give it to themselves. But when I have them do that, I have their names list out if they'll put it out. So here's what I do when they're signing up and we just did the check and they just paid for it, credit card, whatever. That's when you use trickery on them. How fast do you want to get that money back? And what do they say? Right now. And then I say, pull out your names list. And then they go, well, I can wait a week. I don't need it that bad. Because that's scary. So what if I'm sitting with them holding their hand and making it not scary? Remember, whoever needs the volume does the meeting and the follow-up. What if you're both scared to do it? You do it enough, you won't be scared anymore. Does it work every time? No, but I was able to get through people to find people. The guy that led me to Tyler Daniels, you think that was a good find? 6 months of being, I went to his house, we did the meeting, signed him up, and then I never got back to his house until 6 months later. I tried, he canceled on me. Oh, I got to teach baseball and I got to do this, I got to do that. And then finally I started working somewhere else, but I still stayed in touch. My sister-in-law calls me up and says, hey, Bill Toffer's quitting. I'm like, Bill Toffer never even got started. What is he quitting? So I have this in my mind. I call Bill up. I don't say, hey, whatever, you're quitting. I call him up and say, Bill, what are you doing? Hey, do you mind if we stop by? And he's like, no, when? I said, right now. Where? Yeah, I'm in your driveway. So I made sure I was in his driveway so he couldn't escape. Wasn't a couple hours out. And we went in, got him fired up again. And the next meeting he did, I met Tyler. You know, I could have got offended with, he let me drive 3.5 hours to get to his house and canceled on me.
Yeah.
Multiple times. What if I would have let that offend me and never worked with him again? I'm going to show you. See, who gets hurt is the one that don't understand this business. People come into your life for 2 reasons. They're either going to build it or they're going to lead you to the person that's going to build it. And what you said, Krista, when you learn the little tricks or the little ways around the person that's giving you the runaround, I got lots of them, but this one works really well. tell everybody that's kind of ho-humming around that won't listen to you, say, listen, every person that you introduce me to that goes Pro 4, I'll give you $1,000.
Huh.
That's a great one. Because if you get Pro 4, you're going to make the $1,000.
Right. Right.
You guys, I had to learn. The hardest thing for me to do was just to do a presentation. One-on-one, I was okay. Two-on-one, I was scared to death. Doing group meetings, there's no way. And this went on for years. So I had to really do a lot of work on me. But I wanted freedom, and I kept getting to hang out with people that had it. And that's what drove me. I would not stop. And I mean, we left Amway after 5 years. I was never going to do it again. And then here comes along another one. I told them no for 3 weeks. And about just a little over a year, I didn't have a job again. And I told that guy no for 3 weeks. And I used other words too that you guys would not be proud of me for saying. So I know I've done it. I've seen it. I've gone through it. Not everybody's going to sign up. Not everybody's going to let you go, but you do have to be persistent and you have to know where you're going. As soon as you know where you're going and you believe you're going to get there, more people will follow you. It's contagious. They don't get in because of the product and all that. The product opens the door so that you can talk to them. What they get in for, unless that's all you talk about and you tell them that it's going to grow their hair back or this disease is going to go away or that disease is going to go away. Then they're going to try it long enough to find out their hair don't grow back and the disease didn't go away. And then they quit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Some
Marcel,
of you are laughing,
I know
some of
you've
you are
got
like
to.
from ours. This is how we started. We didn't have what you guys had. But at ABC Primetime, and this is what David Brown told me, the peer reviews are going to start coming out soon. We don't know if they're going to be positive. A month later, LSU comes out. Boom, positive. You're kidding. It's awesome, right? We had the ABC Primetime, and then we had to go to, what's the name of that retail store?
GNC.
We had to go to GNC to get our product because LifeVantage didn't have any. For a year. We competed with GNC for over a year. So how we made it, I don't know, but I'm telling you it's because that group of leaders that came in wanted something. I love Pro Tandem. I've taken it every day for 11 years. Just like after I watched that video, I knew I would take it for life. Matter of fact, there's one of our first bottles. Here's what we look like today. You guys should all be Pro 10s, just on the different bottle. Well, listen, I got to go. I got to jump on another call, but listen, we can continue this because once I start the pathways to open up, then all the questions start to happen. So why don't we work on what I talked about tonight for the next week? And then those of you, I wish it would be all of you, but it won't be. I wish it would be, but it won't be. But let's get back on. And for those of you that do, we can ask the questions and maybe that can open up some pathways. This is not hard. Developing the patience to allow it to happen will kill you. But it's not hard. It's just waiting for you to develop those skills. How do you do it? You keep those guys busy. Right now, we still can't really get face to face, but we can get on Zooms. But get on there, man. Tell people, you can, hey, have you ever heard of Pro Tandem? No. Well, let me show you. Let me talk about it. Hey, you ever heard of network marketing? Yeah, I can't stand it. Why? I thought the same thing, but here's what I found. Most of the people that we have in our business that are millionaires today said no. You see what I'm saying? They said no more than once. I said no for 3 weeks with some other words. I will not repeat, Mark. Hey, I've changed a lot, you guys. You guys would fall off of your chairs right now if you would have got to know me in the very beginning.
We love you though.
Oh, I love you guys. So let's get together in a week. It doesn't have to be on your Monday call. You do whatever you're doing there.
We'll figure it out.
30 minutes sometime next week and put it together. You
Awesome.
guys just decide, Mark. I'm going to hang up and then just tell me. Just don't do it on our building depth call.
We will for sure take you up on that. Thank you, Marcel. You have a good night.
Love you guys. Love all of you. Carol, thank you.
Okay, guys, we're just going to give you guys announcements really quickly because we all need to jump on that body.
So, so
new
top
product
of the hour coming up. Rob and Summer Smolik are doing an opportunity meeting right now. So if you've got guests, go ahead and jump off, get them on that Zoom call tomorrow night. The most important announcement we have tonight.
Hey, tell Rob and Summer how awesome I was.
Yeah,
we will.
we will. We will. Tomorrow, Tyler Daniels is sharing his story. Obviously, some of why LifeVantage for him and why LifeVantage now. That information will be on the Team Lifetree distributor page tonight. It's also on the official LifeVantage distributor page already.
If you guys have a business-minded person, this is the call for you.
He's
just incredible.
It's Tyler.
Yeah.
It's Tyler, and he's back in the saddle and helping out. And so we'll have more input from Tyler. So that's an excellent opportunity. And then Brian and Holly Highfield Thursday night are doing another opportunity meeting, part of the Team 212 opportunity presentation series. That is at 6 p.m. Mountain, 7 Central, I believe. Julie, if you'll confirm that, I think that's right.
I believe it's 7:30.
Oh, that's right.
7:30.
Thursday night.
Thank you, Peter.
7:30.
Thank you, Julie. Yeah, you guys have, if I'm on full display, you know I can't do math and I don't know how much a Pro 4 makes. If I can do this business, anybody can do this business. It's about principles and behaviors. My encouragement, guys, would be to take advantage of some of the mentorship and coaching that we have directly benefited from. Marcel put together the Building Depth group, he and Blue Elam, and some other fantastic leaders. We've plugged into that. Building Depth on the Facebook and Building Depth 5x5.com on the internet. There's also a YouTube channel, Building Depth 5x5 as well. LV coaching every other Tuesday night. You can see all these announcements on the Team Lifetree distributor page. That's probably all we should go over tonight because we're already over time. Julie, what you got? You're muted, girl.
Hey, thank you so much. Yeah, we all need to hop on to the official LifeVantage Independent Distributor page to catch that training that's started a minute ago. And Success Mastery is on Saturday. And I look forward to hearing again from Marcel. This was great. Thank you so much.
Be in touch on the Facebook page, guys, to get when we're going to have Marcel again next week. Okay, so we'll be on touch on the Facebook page. So if you want to be on that call, you got to be on that Facebook page. Okay, love you guys.
We'd love some feedback from tonight, what your takeaways were, and then we'll set up some questions for next time we have Marcel. So we love you guys.
Bye.
Have a blessed week.
Bye.
Happy Easter.